Going on Married at First Sight taught me science can't find you a soulmate. Metro News. 135, 6M shares. When I signed up to, I honestly felt the scientists and relationship experts behind the show were going to introduce me to my soulmate. But almost from day one, I started to suspect the show was a load of codswallop. I applied after seeing a post on looking for people to take part in a social experiment. I sent off my details, and the following morning someone from the show rang and asked lots of personal questions about who I am and my past relationships. At this stage, there wasn't any mention of MAFS. After a screen test, I was invited to a science day. I was asked to the questions were all quite vague. Some about my past and future expectations, and how my family life had shaped me. Things were never truly get explained. It was a bit sh*t if you ask me. Once the nature of the show was revealed, the hairs went up on the back of my neck, and not in a good way. When they revealed when I told my family I was going to marry a stranger, I think they felt a mixture of momentary disbelief, but mostly relief. I am not one to make rash decisions, so I think they knew I had thought heavily about it. They knew that if I did. I also think they were relieved at the thought that I wouldn't wind up living in their attic at 50 years old. My friends, on the other hand, were brutal. I think the wedding day was surprisingly normal. When I first saw him, I was emotionally involved in the process, but we were two individuals who had been placed in a situation where thoughts and feelings were rushed. I've also come to realize that love and lust can feel very, very similar. As the day progressed, I didn't have time to really enjoy what was going on. There were a lot of there are issues in any relationship, but the issues that arose in our marriage were intensified by the process. There were holes in why Melissa and I were matched from the very start. For instance, I am a meat eater, she's vegan. That was something I had specifically mentioned at interview stage as something that could be a problem for me in a relationship, and it made me question the process even more. Although we had access to a relationship counselor, I felt the show gave us F***ck all support. I had moved to Milton Keynes to support Melissa in her career, something the team hadn't brought to my attention until I had said I do at the altar. I wasn't exactly ecstatic about the move. I had nothing against. The reason I went through with it is I believe that's what you do for someone you are involved with. You make sacrifice. Sadly, you can only give so much to the relationship before you start asking, is this how it's always going to be? While I don't think I would have given going through with the wedding a second thought if I had known sooner, I would have had more time to prepare for the move or potentially looked at a more rational approach to the situation. The one time we had a Skype session with the counselor after an argument, I felt I was forced to defend myself for something I didn't do. Melissa and I were, on other occasions, it was like the production team were seeing if they could goad us into having an argument on TV. The show wasn't scripted, but I feel like the crew provoked me with questions about situations, feeding me lines and steering me into an answer. After 3 months, Melissa and I ended relatively amicably, but no breakup is as straightforward as you would expect. To manage expectations, you legally have to be married for a year before you can apply for a divorce, and then it takes 6 months for the divorce to go through. Melissa is a great woman, but we haven't spoken since 2016. I hope she has met. My view on the show is very mixed. My experience, you don't see the heated arguments, with the camera crews invading your space. If I have any advice for future participants on the show, it's this: look after yourself physically, but more importantly, look after yourself mentally. There can be some nasty people out there, who could say things that you don't expect, and it hurts. Mental health is. I tried to pull out of the process before the wedding, but stuck it out because I wanted to believe that science can match you with your soulmate, but I was wrong. I now firmly disagree that you can be scientifically matched with someone you have never met. Have you ever dated a flashpreneur? Probably, but what are you thinking? Answering the ultimate. Women are sharing all the long texts they sent to men who replied with brutal one-liners. I have only just started dipping my toe back into the dating pool these past few weeks. It's bloody terrifying. If I meet someone who turns out to be the one, then perfect, but there is no rush. The right person I also don't think he'll be rushing back to get dating advice from the MAFS team anytime soon. Lentidity code excerpt. Share your results.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot bar. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.